standpoint, I don't know if it's a nice thing and you move on, but it's there.
I don't know if that has as much bearing on this year's team. This year's team's story will be told, over the next 5 months. I think it's pretty good validation that a lot of people believe in our program and believe that what guys have done in the past is put one foot in front of the other, elevate from month to month, and then people believe that by then this program has produced teams by March that are a tough out. Will this team do it? It remains to be seen. But if anything else, it's a validation of where the program has come to.
And you've heard your dad talk about just the beginning through the year. I mean, to get to this point where you're mentioned among the Blue Buds.
Sure.
That's part of the validation part.
100%. I think because we've performed well in some big moments here in the past, a lot of people are, recognizing that we're producing a winner, which is good. Our guys are developing from year to year, and I think a lot of people are counting on a lot of guys developing into something significant this year. And again, those are all program achievements. Now, come November 7th, it's all for naught. And you've got to go about the process of earning the right every day, all that cliche stuff. But, for today, it's a pretty good validation of where the program is.
When you first got here, piggybacking off that, the program wasn't here. What comes to mind when you think about as far as not being ranked is not necessarily ranked, but not being, I guess, as recognized to where you guys are right now?
I think you're just a lot of gratitude to the people that came before us. It's all, before there was a Jamal Shedd, there was a Galen Robinson. Before there was a Marcus Asher, there was a Rob Gray. And on down the line of guys that they had to have faith in what we were selling and what we were attempting to do before they signed on. So those guys walked, and so these guys could hopefully run. And, but you earned a preseason distinction. It truly is it's a program because this team hasn't done anything. So it's just a program acknowledgement.
Speaking of development, Kelvin, when you get a guy like Jairus comes in, a big guy like that, for him to have that type of range, is that something that I guess you slowly will continue to work with, but for a guy like that, is it surprising you about what he's able to do from outside?
You just meet guys where they are whenever they walk through the door. And I think that's wherever their day one is, you meet them there. The fact that he's willing to put in the work to pour into his game is a great sign. We'll see if he's got great range when the season starts. You're right, but exactly. He's got just like our team's got to keep earning the right. Individual guys have to earn the right and prove the right through what they do in games. But you only do that through your work that you put in before practice, after practice, coming back at night, so on and so forth. I say this about Jairus Walker. He is a naturally hard worker. You don't have to trick or pull him into the gym. He wants to be in there, and he wants to be coached, and that makes it makes him an easy kid to coach.
Just as a coach, when you have the talent that you have, guys like Marcus and Jairus and Jed, how much does it excite you with what you can do on the court creatively as far as mismatches offensively and defensively?
Yeah, and I think that was the strength of last year's team. Is at any point in time, we could pivot our star to where any of those five could be the best player on any given matchup. And that's what made last year's team a pretty powerful weapon. And it's a blessing that hopefully we've got a lot of weapons this year that on any given night can be our best player or can be the guy that we direct and run our offense through. It challenges you certainly in a creative way to figure out, but also, every guy's game's going to change as the year goes on too. We accidentally stumbled into Tajay Moore last year being able to post up. It's not like we evaluated him and really, we didn't have enough time to evaluate that part of his game or even develop it. We kind of stumbled into it accidentally, and you know what? We then put in a Tajay Moore post-up package as a byproduct of that. And if you pay attention and you'll listen to your guys, they'll tell you what they can do and how you need to coach them.
Kellen, you kind of just touched on like the growth of the program over the years. I'm curious because one of the big things with Kelvin and just the program overall is culture. I mean, it gets repeated by the players all the time. But over the years, has that changed at all? Like how you guys go about, every team's different, but go about like establishing the culture, the expectation for the program, or how has that gone through the years?
You know, if anything, throughout the years is we have enough returners that understand it, and so they do as good a job of pouring it into the new guys as we do. They don't. They know how early to be at workouts. They know how early to be at for 6 if we're going to lift it or work out at 6:30. They know what time to be at the gym and what it looks like, you know, to be there early. Look, they do. They take care of it. We've got a lot of defenders of the culture, and that helps you implement your culture into the new guys as much as anything. And that's changed throughout the years. Obviously, the more returners you have, the more defenders you have of your culture year in and year out, and that's what you're hoping for and seeking for. And you got to have a mind for that, and be mindful of that in recruiting as well. So you got to have guys that want to be here and will be here year after year.
And kind of sticking on that point with recruiting, how has that changed during the process? Because especially with the success you've had, I'm assuming that's a big factor in it. But what's that been like over the years?
You know, what's interesting is like there's not a kid in town or in the area that remembers us being bad.
Really?
There's not a kid in town. There's not a high school player that even knows what old Hofheinz Pavilion was. And they were in elementary school when Hofheinz. And so, from a recruiting standpoint, you're not. You know, their only memories of the University of Houston are of us being in the spotlight, us going to the Instrument Tournament, us having some success. And so, from a recruiting standpoint, it's you never want to you never lose your chip, you never lose your identity, but also understanding that kids have a really good familiarity with you. They have a healthy feelings about the University of Houston because of the success that the program's done. So now you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of nauseating hours explaining who you are anymore. They know it. We're on TV. I think last year, we had 28 or so nationally televised games, maybe 30 nationally televised games, something like that. So they have a familiarity with you. Now it's just time to evaluate which kids will fit into your culture and your program, what you do. And those are that's where eval comes into the equation. But as far as introducing your program, those are hurdles we don't necessarily have to cross anymore.